Hi, I'm Randy Wooden, and welcome to another in our Edge Library series. This time we're talking about online applications and some of the common questions I get revolving around those. And one of the main ones is the money question. Now, it usually takes one of two forms. One is either your salary history or most recent income, or it might ask for your salary requirements. Now, let's take these sort of in order of what you can get away with. First of all, if you can leave it blank, do that. Unfortunately, that's not the case very often. You could, if they'll let you, put 0 in there, but again, many times they won't let you do that. You could try to put a range in there. You could put mid-40s to mid-50s or whatever that range is, but again, very often it's forcing you to put in a numeral, to put in numbers, not 0. So if you're left with saying, okay, well, what do I put in now in terms of what I'm looking for in this position? And you're not allowed to put a range, and you can't put 0, you can't leave it blank. Well, what you need to do is do some homework. Go online, look up perhaps other sources, try to find out what this job is likely to pay. Maybe ask somebody that you know who's in that sort of job. The key here is you don't want to price yourself too high, and even if you're a little bit lower than what ultimately you'd like to make, at least you get a chance to interview. Or more to the point, the money you put down for salary requirement doesn't get you screened out. Now, you might get screened out for other reasons, but you don't want dollars alone to get you screened out. And let's face it, there's no law that says you have to accept the offer that they give you. All you want to do is get over the hump, get over this barrier, this online, impersonal form. So pick the number that you think is toward the upper end of what they're likely to pay, and then move forward. Now, another question is your salary history. What did you earn in your past positions? A couple of things. Number one, very, very rarely is a company going to follow up. Now, they'll do credit checks, they'll do background checks, that sort of thing, drug screens, but very infrequently will you ever see an employer check up on what you used to make. And beyond that, it's very rare that you'll actually have a former employer tell someone else what you actually made on the job. So understand salary history is typically sort of a private issue. Now, that said, if there's any time you're going to lie on your job hunt, this is the time to do it. I mean, let's face it. Let's say you're making 85 grand somewhere, and you're willing to accept a position that's paying 45 grand ish. Let's say you do your homework, you feel it's a mid-40s job. You and I both know, and I've had recruiters support me on this, if all they see on the online application is your salary had been 85 and they know probably high end they're paying 45, there is no way that you will get looked at if that's all they see. Now, granted, if somebody in the company can speak for you and sort of lay the groundwork and say, hey, here's why this person's interested in the position, great. But absent that, short of blackmail, you will not have a chance to tell why 45 grand is okay for you. You just won't get that chance. So if you're going to have to hold your nose, pick a number that you think is where this job is likely to be, then go ahead and put that in there. Again, you may get screened out regardless, but your goal here is to get through that hump and over the hump. So again, I hate to have to tell you that, but that's reality what you're facing. If you're willing to work for 45 and you've made 85, then you need to make your online application at least palatable to the employer to want to take a look at. So that's what I would do on that. So that deals with what is your salary history. It also deals a little bit with what are you expecting in this position. Something else you might want to do too is to go with plain text. When you're saving your document, let's say you're operating in Word, when you do that, instead of saving it as you normally would, go down to the bottom of where you do the save as, you're at the bottom down there, and at the very bottom of it there's a drop down box, and you can save that as plain text. That sometimes helps you then when you go to copy and paste it in the form. It generally makes it a little cleaner. It's a little easier to work with. It makes it look a little more presentable, or more to the point, it takes less work on your part in terms of deleting little objects and shoring up the spacing and that sort of thing just makes it a little bit easier for you. So those are some tips that I give out. I get a lot of questions about those online apps and how to deal with them. There are other things we can talk about online, but realistically what you're doing is essentially copying and pasting your resume in there, and the big questions deal with money. If you're asked questions about reason for leaving, we cover that in other Edge library series, so you can look on there. But short version is pick the reason least injurious to you that makes you look good. And again, other library segments talk in more detail about that. That's going to wrap it up for this segment, the Edge library series, dealing with that quandary, that issue about online applications and specifically handling those money questions. I'm Randy Wooden. Thanks for watching.